Paul, we saw some good play from Julio Jones, Titans' number 1 seed. He was a big reason why the Titans, speaking of Houston, went to Houston and won the game. There were a number of factors, and it came down to the fourth quarter and Tannehill making a big play to Nick Westbrook-Akina. But Nick Westbrook-Akina and Anthony Ferkser scored a touchdown. Akina had a big catch for 36, 37 yards on a drive-saving play that ended up being a touchdown 2 plays later. Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, and really Julio, giving the production, to me, allows the offense to place Nick Westbrook-Akina in his proper role. And it allows Ferkser a little bit more room to work with in the middle that maybe you're not seeing as much. Maybe as a safety you can cheat 1 or 2 steps when you don't have options on the outside like they did against the Houston Texans, and the defense was forced to make a decision on how to cover the Titans' passing game. All that being said, the Titans need his play, Julio's play on Sunday, to carry over to the postseason. And he has not been the player we saw Sunday on any type of consistent basis throughout the regular season.
They seem very intent on getting him the ball in a way that we haven't seen since Seattle in week 2. I was surprised by it because I really felt like they had given up on that. So good for them that that they're able to change into that. Good for him that he is able to go with it. Look, I was critical of him last week in wrapping up what he had done through 16 games. None of that changes by the fact that he was targeted for 9 times, that he caught 5 balls for 58 yards and a touchdown. First off, some of these people that want to target me in this, you would think he caught 200 yards and 5 touchdowns. But secondly, he scored a touchdown. So his season totals now are a touchdown. I mean, are you guys really going crazy over him having a touchdown? Guys who make comparable money to Julio Jones this year are Tyreek Hill made a little bit more and Stephon Diggs made a little bit less. Now, they played more than Julio Jones because they didn't have a balky hamstring that had to be talked about every single week. But those guys caught, something around 100 balls, about 1,200 yards, and about 9 touchdowns. I don't understand how you can argue with me about Julio Jones not producing to the value of the dollars. And that's not even getting into the second-round pick plus that you gave up for him. I'm remaining calm here. There's no factual way that you can argue with me that they have gotten their money's worth plus trade value worth out of him. He has not been Stephon Diggs, and he has not been Tyreek Hill. Period. End of argument. Now,
quickly, Paul, before you go back into this, I think part of the problem that the Titans fans are having with this and their issue towards you is that there are 2 separate arguments going on that I see. I even see this with some media members that cover the Titans. One argument is the one that you just laid out, that you're 100,000% correct. You cannot argue that they're not getting their money's worth, and his season has been an enormous bust and a disappointment so far. The other argument is that, you're saying Titans fans shouldn't have any hope that he can be better or that he can do anything in the playoffs. I don't know that you ever argued that, and I may be incorrect in saying that. My point to that would be, of course he can do better. The only way to go is better.
Yeah.
Anything is better than nothing, and he's given nothing to the Titans up until this last game. So, of course he can be better and do something in the playoffs if he's on the field and healthy.
I have low expectations because my expectations, brace yourself for this, are generally based on what a guy has done. And this is how expectations around the world happen. Financial markets, all kinds of things that I don't understand are generally based on previous performances. And so my expectation for Julio Jones in the playoffs is based on not just this one game, though I know it's most recent and it's encouraging, but over what he's done over the course of the season. So it would be wonderful if Julio Jones can pick up where he left off in that Houston game. And there's potential for it. But am I incredibly optimistic that Julio Jones is going to be a super force for the Titans in the playoffs? I'm not. He could be, and I might be wrong. And I'm not saying he absolutely won't be, but he could be. Now, here's something I am going to say outright. If you cannot control yourself on my argument that I just made, which is basically what I said last week, and you think that him having 5 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown, somehow it makes me evil, makes me incredibly wrong, gets you to your boiling point, so be it. But I think anyone could agree that I'm human to the point where I don't bring somebody's family into it. And when I have to get an email after that game saying nasty stuff about my kid, as if I have somehow slandered Julio Jones to the point that my kid should suffer as a result of it, it's just absolutely beyond reproach. And you need to check yourself. And I understand that's one email from one person, but it reflected the tone of a lot of stuff I got. And what the hell is the matter with you? Look, I understand as a public person in the media like this, you open yourself up to some things like that. But this is not the heat of the political battle that we're having. Not that it's right there either. I said a guy who hasn't produced much hasn't produced much. And you're talking crap about my kid. Think about it for a second.
It's ridiculous. There's no excuse for that. I think everyone would agree. Don't bring family into anything on a sports debate, especially when you don't know someone and you're emailing from an anonymous account. Ridiculous.
I don't know the story. How did they bring in Simon to this storyline?
I got sent an email that comes through my website's, you could make a submission. And so I got a nasty submission, between the time I went down to the locker room and came up back through the locker room.
What was the nasty part of it, though?
Basically, is your kid as dumb as you? I hope he's getting harassed at school because you're such a bleep hole, on and on like that.
Yeah.